What happens when a former president walks into a studio expecting a routine interview and instead finds himself locked in one of the most explosive on-air clashes of his career? That's exactly what happened when Donald Trump sat down with Martha MacCallum. What started as a simple Fox News interview quickly spiraled into a verbal showdown that left viewers stunned, the studio staff frozen, and even Trump's closest allies scrambling to react. This wasn't just another headline moment. This was a raw, unscripted battle, live in front of millions. On one side, Trump, confident and combative as ever. On the other, MacCallum, refusing to back down, drilling into questions that cut deeper than expected. And the result? A tense exchange so fiery that Trump eventually stood up, ready to walk away, while MacCallum delivered a line that would echo far beyond the studio walls. But how did it get to that breaking point? And what was said in those final heated seconds that turned a tough interview into a historic confrontation? Stay with me, because once you hear what went down, you'll understand why this interview is being called one of the most shocking moments in Trump's media battles. The stage was carefully set. Cameras lined the studio, lights glared down, and producers expected a straightforward sit-down with Trump, the kind of segment Fox News has run countless times before. But even before the first question was asked, there were signs this wasn't going to be routine. Trump entered the studio with his trademark confidence, but those close to the set noticed his mood was unusually sharp. His team had already been warning about hostile questions, and whispers in the hallway suggested the former president wasn't planning to play along if the conversation turned confrontational. On the other side sat Martha MacCallum, calm and collected, but with a stack of notes in her lap that hinted at harder questions than Trump expected. Viewers tuning in thought they were about to watch another predictable Q&A, but inside that studio, the energy was different. It was tense, charged, almost like a storm waiting to break. And when MacCallum leaned in with her very first question, that storm began to roll in fast. The opening questions seemed harmless enough on paper. MacCallum asked about Trump's mounting legal battles and whether constant courtroom appearances were distracting from his campaign. But the moment the words left her mouth, Trump's expression shifted. His jaw tightened, his eyes narrowed, and you could almost feel the air in the studio grow heavier. Instead of brushing it off, Trump fired back immediately. He accused the media of obsessing over nonsense and insisted the American people cared more about border security, inflation, and jobs than what he called political witch hunts. His voice carried that familiar edge, the mix of frustration and defiance that both rallies his supporters and rattles his critics. MacCallum didn't blink. She pressed harder, pointing out specific court filings, quoting judges' statements, and asking directly if he feared a conviction could derail his 2024 run. That's when the sparks really flew. Trump leaned forward, raising his voice, calling the accusations fabricated attacks designed to keep him out of the White House. He even turned toward the camera at one point, speaking directly to viewers as if to bypass the host altogether. The tension was unmistakable. What should have been a measured back and forth had already transformed into a clash of wills. And this was only the first 5 minutes of the interview. What came next would push the exchange into territory no one in the studio expected. By now, the conversation wasn't just tense. It was on the verge of breaking apart. Trump's tone grew sharper with every word, his answers longer, louder, and more pointed. He accused the Justice Department of being weaponized, slammed prosecutors as corrupt, and dismissed the ongoing cases as a scam designed to silence millions of Americans. But MacCallum didn't retreat. She leaned into her role with unusual firmness, cutting him off mid-sentence, pressing again and again for specifics. Mr. President, this isn't about your campaign talking points. These are direct questions about criminal allegations. Will you answer them directly? That line was like striking a match in a room full of gasoline. Trump's face flushed, his hand chopped through the air as he interrupted her. You're repeating the same garbage the fake media's been saying for years. People are tired of it. They want the truth. The studio audience, silent until now, began murmuring. Some gasped, others whispered nervously, and producers in the control room scrambled, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let the fireworks play out live. What had started as a tough interview was now something else entirely, a battle of dominance live on camera with neither side willing to yield. And as Trump's frustration boiled over, the possibility of a full-on walkout suddenly felt very real. But the breaking point hadn't come yet. That was only moments away. And then it happened, the moment no one in the studio expected. After yet another sharp question about whether his legal troubles could make him unelectable, Trump suddenly pushed back his chair. The squeak of metal against the studio floor cut through the room like a siren. For a split second, there was silence. MacCallum frozen in her seat, the crew staring wide-eyed, the audience holding their breath. Trump stood up, straightened his jacket, and pointed directly at MacCallum. His voice dropped lower, steadier, but laced with anger. This is exactly why people don't trust the media. You don't want answers, you want a circus. Well, I don't play that game. It wasn't a shout. It wasn't bluster. It was the kind of cold defiance that lands heavier than yelling ever could. The studio felt like it tilted on its axis, the tension so thick you could almost touch it. MacCallum, to her credit, didn't flinch. She shot back with a line that instantly went viral. Mr. President, walking away doesn't answer the question. The American people deserve more than a staged exit. That remark hung in the air. Trump paused, one hand on the desk, staring at her with the kind of glare that could cut through glass. For a heartbeat, no one knew if he'd storm out for good or sit back down. And that's when the confrontation reached its breaking point. The clash that left millions talking long after the cameras stopped rolling.
The moment the cameras cut, the studio was buzzing like a hive. Producers were scrambling, crew members whispering, and even seasoned Fox staffers admitted they'd never seen anything like it. Trump's team rushed in quickly, some urging him to leave, others suggesting he return to the chair, but the damage was already done. Outside the studio, the reaction was instant. Within minutes, clips of the tense exchange flooded X and TikTok. One clip showing Trump rising from his seat racked up millions of views in hours, with hashtag Trump walks out and hashtag MacCallum clash trending across platforms. Cable news jumped on it immediately. CNN called it a meltdown under pressure. Fox commentators were split, some defending Trump's decision to push back, others praising MacCallum for standing her ground. Meanwhile, Politico ran with the headline, Trump versus Fox, a relationship fractured on live TV. The public reaction mirrored the divide. Supporters hailed Trump for refusing to be bullied by hostile media, while critics argued his near walkout showed weakness. Even rival candidates couldn't resist. One campaign aide quipped, if Trump can't handle Fox, how can he handle the Oval Office again? In a matter of hours, what should have been a routine interview transformed into one of the most viral, polarizing moments of Trump's media career. And whether people saw it as strength or fragility, one thing was clear: the fallout had only just begun. What happened in that studio wasn't just a heated interview, it was a glimpse into the larger battle Donald Trump faces as he pushes toward 2024. Every rally, every court hearing, every TV appearance is now a test not just of policy, but of endurance. And moments like this remind us that Trump isn't just fighting political opponents, he's fighting the spotlight itself. For his supporters, this clash will be another rallying cry, proof that their candidate won't bend under media pressure. For his critics, it will serve as another example of a man who bristles when confronted and walks the edge between defiance and defensiveness. But no matter where you stand, one fact is undeniable. Trump's presence on the screen still commands attention like no other figure in American politics. One tense exchange can dominate headlines, split commentators, and light up social media within minutes. And if this is what happens during an interview, imagine what's coming as the campaign trail heats up, the courtroom battles intensify, and the race for the White House narrows. One thing is certain. Whether Trump is seated behind a microphone or standing at a rally stage, the drama is far from over. The only question left is, what will the next explosive moment look like? In the end, it wasn't a question of who won the exchange, it was the fact that it happened at all. A former president, face-to-face with one of Fox's top anchors, nearly walking out on live television. That image alone is destined to be replayed, dissected, and debated for weeks. But here's the real takeaway. If Trump can turn a single interview into a national spectacle, imagine what the coming months will bring. Courtroom battles, campaign rallies, debates, every stage becomes a battlefield, every question a potential flashpoint. And love him or hate him, Trump knows how to turn conflict into currency. The final blow wasn't Trump's words, or even MacCallum's defiant pushback. It was the silence that followed, that split second where the entire country leaned in, waiting to see if he would walk away for good. Because in politics, silence can be louder than any outburst. And in that moment, Donald Trump reminded everyone why his presence still dominates the stage. Unpredictable, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. So what does all this mean? The Trump-MacCallum showdown wasn't just a fiery interview. It was a reminder of the volatility surrounding every move of Trump's. One question, one reaction, one moment of defiance can reshape the conversation in an instant. For supporters, it was proof that he's still willing to fight, no matter the platform. For critics, it was confirmation that under pressure, Trump can lose his composure. But either way, the impact is undeniable. Millions tuned in, millions debated, and the story dominated the headlines. And as the campaign season intensifies, this won't be the last time we see sparks fly. If anything, it's only the beginning. The legal battles, the rallies, the debates, they'll all carry the same explosive potential. Because in the world of Donald Trump, every stage is a showdown, and every moment has the chance to become history.